Okay, he said we're good. Cool. We're ready over here, bro. Should be good.
Hey
Yeah.
everybody, this is Akiri, and I introduce to you the one and the only, the great magician, David LeBoeuf.
You're on.
Oh, okay.
He is
Well,
also
okay, I'm ready.
he's also my nurse,
Uh-huh.
so it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
All right, guys, feel free to throw any questions my way in chat, and I will read them to Mr. David here. So, okay, so David, how did you get into being a magician?
How did you get into being a magician?
Well, got into be a magician because I lost my job. And when I was a kid, my dad pulled a magic trick on me by coincidence. And so it got me interested. And so, long story short, my dad and I were trying to see whose hands were quicker and snatch a coin from each other. And he went for it, and I closed my hand, and he closed his hand, and we didn't know who had the coin. And he said, well, and I opened my hand and the coin wasn't there, and I was like, oh, he got me. And then he opened his hand and the coin wasn't there either. And we're standing on a hardwood floor, so I thought, well, where did it go? Because it would have hurt to hit. And he lifted his other hand, he melted for all it was worth, he opened it up, and there was the coin. And he never would tell me how he did it. So I went to the library and I got book after book after book and read and read and read. And about a month later, he confessed that the coin, coincidentally, as he struck for it, he hit the coin and it coincidentally landed in his non-dominant hand. And he just took the opportunity of that and milked it for all it was worth. But after I'd read 10 books on magic, I was hooked. So when I got older, I lost my job. And so I decided, no, if there's not a job, I have to make one. So I went down and started street performing and ended up getting a job in a magic shop. And I met a guy named David Williamson and went to Baltimore, and the rest is history. And just started traveling around doing magic shows. And it's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
That's awesome. So, how did you go from being a magician to being a nurse?
How did you go from being a magician to being a nurse?
Okay. So I was traveling the country and coming home sporadically. And the woman that is now my wife, my girlfriend at the time, we weren't seeing each other very often. And I guess I was around 28, post marriage to her. And I decided then that I can't come home 2 weekends a year and stay married. So I have to make a change. So coming out of high school, I was a science math person. Nursing was an interest. Went back to school, became a nurse, and started doing that. Did that for about 10 years. And then I got the magic bug again. So now I kind of am able to do both. So now with COVID, no, it's just nursing and a lot of nursing, and you know that.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. You know, I'm very fortunate to have two careers that.
Okay, we have a question from Delatron. She
Question.
wants to know, have you ever been to Las Vegas to perform?
Have you ever performed in Las Vegas?
I performed at conventions in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Anaheim, New York, all sorts of places, Baltimore. But as far as a Las Vegas show, like in a casino, no. Only convention.
That's a great
Where
was your
was
favorite place
Who was
to
your
perform
favorite
shows?
to perform shows?
my favorite show ever? Uh, that's a tough question. I guess
Your favorite place to perform?
favorite place. I'm sorry. Um, Houston Astrodome.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Why Houston?
Why Houston?
Um, I got hired to do a convention there, and there was just a lot of opportunity, a lot of people coming to me, a lot of people questioning me, giving me cards, taking my cards. A lot of calls came from that show. So it was a really productive show.
That's awesome. So have there ever been instances in either job where the other job has maybe helped you?
Could you say that one again?
Yeah, sure. Have there ever been an instance during magic tricks or nursing where the other job has helped in a situation?
Oh, okay. Has there ever been an instance where there's been an incident and the other job has helped in the situation?
Yeah. I've had some small little bitty incidents. One time, a little boy just is sitting in carpet and just kneeled down on the tap, and it was stuck straight into his knee. And poor little thing, he was crying forever and ever. So I immediately stopped the show, saw what it was, alerted the staff. They came and got him, and took him off, brought him to his mom, and all was well. The only other thing I ever had was a little child one time started having an asthma attack. And I didn't even have to do anything. The mom knew exactly what it was. She went, got a child, she got her inhaler, and boom, she had it treated. But I went to her after the show because I know she missed part of the show. And she was very, very disappointed with that. So I went and do some tricks for her privately. And that sort of made the whole thing better. So I guess, yes, I have.
Question from Dark Eyes. What's your most difficult magic trick?
What's your most difficult magic trick?
Oh, it's funny that some of the card slides are difficult. Some of the coins I do are very difficult. But it's not necessarily the biggest trick. It's kind of strange how it is. Everyone thinks, like I do one trick where I turn goldfish crackers into real goldfish. And everyone thinks that's the most difficult trick. And they never think the hardest thing about that trick is not the fish, it's the water that the fish have to live in. So making, 34 ounces of water appear from an empty hand is difficult. But I've worked out a way to do it. But everyone says, how do you get the fish? Because they're slippery and this sort of thing. But the most difficult part is clearly the water. I guess my answer to that question would be probably a couple of coin routines that I'm still working on. I've been working for years.
That's awesome. What magician did you look up to when you were
What
learning?
what magicians did you look up to when you were younger?
Okay, when I was younger, Lance Burton was one. John Rockabama, who lives in New Orleans now, he's written 60 books on magic, maybe over 60 by now. David Williamson was a huge influence. Matthew Noel, who's lives near me, and we became friends. He started out sort of tailing me around. I consider him at least an equal and great performer. See, other than that, of course, there's this guy named Copperfield, and we've all respected him. Michael Amar. A lot of names people don't know. David Blaine. So
Wow,
those are
David
some of the
Blaine.
guys that I've really looked up to. Harry Anderson too. I can't beat him.
What about
Really good.
now that you're older, who do you look up to now?
Now that you're older, who do you look up to now?
David Williamson.
Nice. Another question from Delashoin. What's the most dangerous trick in your show that you have ever done?
What's the most dangerous trick in your show that you've ever done?
Ooh, I do a lot of kids shows, so I kind of keep that out. I used to use some fire. So anytime you have fire, it gets a little dangerous. I used to use razor blades. that gets a little dangerous. Now it's sort of scaled back in that area. I don't bring in too much stuff. And the other thing is, if you go on something like a cruise ship, you cannot have any open flame of any kind for any reason. So performers that do, in fact, Tom Ogden and I, who's a magician from California, had a huge conversation about it when I was visiting one day, and I gave him a solution. My son was living there at the time, and I brought him he had to destroy a bill, and I brought him a handheld paper shredder. And it was just, I mean, burning it is the best thing, but the next best thing was a handheld paper shredder. So he could put the $5 bill in there, and it would come out into confetti, and then he would have the bill reappear somewhere else sometimes later. So it was a good solution for him.
Why? Why did you decide to do more kid shows than bigger shows
Why'd you
or more
decide?
adult shows?
Why'd you decide to do kid shows?
Kid shows. Well, for one thing, I went to pediatric nursing. And so being at work and having these kids that the only thing they could do was pretty much watch TV. Going back into the 90s and the early 90s, where there wasn't very many video units available, and the ones that were extremely expensive. And I worked at a state hospital, and we just didn't have that. Later on, I worked in other places where they did have mobile units that would go from room to room. But you still had an issue of every kid wanted it at the same time. So the magic was a way to go in, do something for the kids that was a little different. That was very, it was distracting, it was enjoyable. And, a lot of times we would just fool the parent, and the kids would just, enjoy that and get the biggest kick out of it. So when it came to pursuing shows, my wife also is one of the best librarians in the country, and libraries do a lot of summer shows. And so through her, I made some connections. Those are all kid shows. So that's how my summer grew into doing children's performances.
That's an awesome story. Would you care to show us a trick?
Could you show us a trick?
Sure, would love to. Let me do this. Let me do this. This is a 2-deck trick using 2 decks. So I'm going to shuffle. I carry at some point. Tell me whenever you want me to stop. Don't stop me when you think I want to stop, but whenever you think it's fairly well mixed up.
Okay, chat. It's up to you to tell David when to stop. So on your cue, chat, tell David to stop. All right, stop.
Stop.
Let's line them together. There we go. All right. So pretty thoroughly mixed. Now I have another deck. We're going to get to that in just a moment. You see red and the blue, so they're different. Give me a number between 1 and 52. You can do it, or you can have someone, one of your viewers. It doesn't matter.
Okay. $38.
38.
38. Count down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 8, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and that makes this one lucky number 38. Okay. We're not going to look at it just yet because I have the other deck. I mentioned it twice, the blue one. I placed one card in here upside down earlier today. That's not it. That's our leader. But somewhere in here, right near the top, if I'm not mistaken, is one card that's upside down. Let's see. Yeah, there's one. I want to show you the rest of the cards to make sure there's nothing else upside down. There's only one card upside down and one only. Check it out. The upside down card is the Six of Spades. Let's see which card you stop me on. Big coincidence, the Six of Spades.
That's awesome.
What do you think?
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little trick. I like it. So it took a while to work that one out, but we did get it worked out. And we like it. We like it a lot. Most people like it.
The Sean has a question.
So we'll put the toys away. I always tell
Oh,
kids-
there's a question. Hold up.
Okay.
Uh huh.
Who was the best audience you have ever had?
The best audience you've ever had.
Ooh. Boy, I've had some good audiences too. I think Alexandria, Louisiana, had the Black Box Theater. Yeah, just a really grateful audience. They were amazed. The only thing bad with that show was right as soon as the show ended, they came out and said that, we're under a tornado warning and we have to evacuate. So I had to leave all my stuff there and leave the theater, which, we went down into the basement is what we did. But the people that had come to the show exited and went to their cars and drove home apparently. But the people that worked there and some of the audience went down to the basement with us. So it was a good show. I would have liked to visit it with the audience. A lot of times they want autographs and pictures because now with the iPhones, everyone has a camera all the time. So I don't mind doing that. In fact, I always say, risking the purity of your camera by taking a picture with me, but they still do it because I enjoy it.
How has COVID affected magic shows?
How has COVID affected magic shows?
Oh, tremendously. When it first started, I had 90-something shows scheduled for that summer, and they canceled. I did a show in Nashville, and then it canceled. But after that, it canceled. And I guess that was in February. I'm not really sure. It was somewhere around January, February, maybe in January. Anyway. So then slowly, my summer shows canceled. I had nothing to do. So, trying to be resourceful here, I put a notice on Facebook that I was going to go out into the neighborhood and do tricks for kids through the window because that was social distancing. All you had to do was put a note or a balloon or something in your mailbox, put your cell number. I'll call or text you when I get there. Parents would open the window, and surprisingly, I had kids and parents watching because, when this first started, we had nothing. We had nothing to do. They weren't filming or just, sitting around. So I was going around from house to house doing magic shows for, no money to it, but it's not always about. And so the next weekend, I started getting messages from people during the week. Hey, when are you coming to my neighborhood? Okay, well, I guess I'll go there this weekend. So I would go into Lisa Park, and then, same thing there. Catch some people, off guard, and some of them were very suspicious. What do you want? And just want to entertain you. If you don't want to, it's okay. You can watch. You don't have to, but it's free. When you say free, their ears perk up. So I would go in and do some stuff for them, and I did that for a while, and it kept me in practice. That's what it did. So, and it gave me a good feeling right here. So that's what I did. COVID has affected me last summer and this summer. This summer I did a total of 3 shows and 2 virtual. I think I had 3 virtual last summer. That's it.
Wow.
So from 96 shows to, and the bad thing with a virtual show is that the person that will hire me to do 10 shows or 12 shows in a week will now hire me for 1. If they put it on.
Wow.
That's it. It's a one-time thing. So it's not the best financially, But it's better than nothing. So we just, accept it, and that's how it is.
Now that you know how magic works, is it less special when you watch a show?
Oh, that's a good question. Now that you know how magic works, does it make it less special when you watch a show, someone else?
Yes. I have seen David Copperfield 10 or 12 times. Um, I periodically will, not periodically, very often sit there and say, wow, that was a really nice way to do that in pose. And the thing about it is, these moves are done, if you think about magic, it's what we call a hidden art. In other words, like a person that sculpts something out of marble, they want you to see the beautiful statue they made. And it's a lot of work, and it's tedious. Person that paints a painting, they want you to see the beautiful, brushstrokes or the ones you don't see, whatever. But they want you to see the beautiful painting. The magician, I don't want you to see what I look. That's a little bit different. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely different.
What has been the most awkward situation you have ever been a part of with another magician?
What's the most awkward situation that's ever happened with another magician?
Show up to do a show and have the same exact trick.
Oh.
It's just like two girls showing up at prom in the same dress. Luckily, as you become more seasoned, you can say, no problem, I'll throw that out. I'll do this instead. That's why I always have a backup of 4 or 5 tricks that you never know. Here's the thing. It's not what you're going to do if something goes wrong during the show. It's what you're going to do when something goes wrong, because it will happen. If you do a live show, something is going to go wrong. And most of the time, you can't control it. So, the things I can be prepared for through experience, just like when I used to do street shows, you have people come in and they rattle off a joke or a criticism. And you go home and write 10 jokes. And I learned that from my friend Billy Pruden, who would go home and write 10 jokes to cover that situation. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, some guy's there from Cincinnati and he says the same thing, and boom, and they think, man, he's really quick. And in fact, it happened 2 weeks ago, with a guy from Seattle, and they don't know about it. And so you just kind of prepare yourself.
How is magic tricks different now from like 20 years ago?
How is magic different now than 20 years ago?
Oh yeah, easy. There's about 9 or 10 principles of magic, principles being methods that you use to accomplish your goal. That's what a principle is. We've added one in the last several, probably at least the last 100 years. It's high tech. So all the things you have with your iPhone, all the things you have with your Bluetooth, we have that too. So that's clearly the number one difference, without a doubt. The other thing I would say that's very, very different is if you go back to, say, the 1940s or 20s, and you had a magician traveling, and he knew of another magician that lived in New York City, and he was going into these shows, he would send him a telegram. It's going to be in the city on this day, in 4 months. Have shows at Men's Call Theater. Are you going to be available to reply? And the guy would write back, yes, I'm taking a hiatus during that month, and we get together. So they would get together. So these 2 brilliant magic minds would get together, and maybe one idea was exchanged, or 2 ideas. Each gave the other one a tip on something. So that's one idea in maybe 6 months, a year before they see each other again. Now you can do something, put it on YouTube, and some kid in Indonesia can see it almost instantaneously. So that's a huge difference. Again,
What is your type? What is your favorite type of trick to perform?
What are your favorite type tricks to perform? Was that it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What are your favorite kinds of tricks to perform?
Okay, like what I opened up with. It seems like the audience did it. I like that. I like to make a little child smile and walk away, and they'll go home and pick up that card and will work because they've not put any effort into it yet. Because I always tell them afterwards, big thing here that you can't get around is practice. You have to practice and then read books. So my favorite type is where it seems the audience pulls off the miracle. I'll give them the magic wand. Here you go. Tap it. And oh my gosh, where did it go? You made it disappear. And so it makes them feel really special, especially like a little birthday boy or girl. The other thing I like a lot is if it has comedy. I like to make people smile.
Okay, can we get one more magic trick
Yeah.
for
Could we get?
Delatron?
What was that last part?
Her Delatron asked if he could perform one more trick for her.
Oh, if you could do one more trick.
Sure. Let's see. Let's do this. This is one of my favorites. All right, hi, Kara. You can make decisions, or you can have a view, or whatever it takes.
Okay.
But I want you to use your imagination here, and I want you to imagine that I have here 4 cards. Now they're big, but you imagine I have 4 cards, and that should be easy to do because I actually have here 4 cards. But I want you to view in your mind the 4 queens, the club, the heart, the spade, and the diamond. And you notice that 2 are red and 2 are black. You view those queens. I'm going to take 2 of the queens out. And I do this invisibly, of course. And I won't tell you which 2 queens I took out, but I will tell you they are the same color. Okay? Now you make a choice. Are they red or black?
Okay, one moment. She says red.
He says red.
Red. You're right. I'm going to put one back in invisibly. The other one I turn over and put it back in the pack. Now I have 2 cards in here that are red. One is face up. The other is face down. So I want you to name the red card that's in here face up. Heart or diamond, your choice.
Okay, 1 second. She says heart.
Was it heart?
Yes.
There's a heart.
All right, let's take a look. You can see the top one is face down. The bottom one is face down as well. And second from the bottom is face down. There's one card that's second from the top. Let's see if it is. Oh my gosh. It is indeed face up. And guess what? It is the Queen of Hearts. But I have to tell you something. You're not going to believe me, but I can prove that what I'm saying is true. I knew you would pick the Queen of Hearts, whoever picked this. I knew you would, and I can prove it. Because if I pull that Queen of Hearts out and turn it around, you will see it is the only red-backed card in this whole packet. But I went a step further. I was so sure that you would pick the Queen of Hearts. I did not bother bringing any other queen at all. I simply brought one card, the Queen of Hearts, the one you selected.
Haha, that's crazy. That's amazing. Delatron said that you are awesome.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Um,
You're cool too. You want videotape.
Delatron said, thank you so much.
Said thank you so much.
Done?
Oh, the last person.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for watching.
How long does it usually take you to create a new trick?
Could you say that again?
How long does it usually take to create a new trick?
Oh, how long does it usually take to create a new trick?
Ooh, sometimes months. I have a trick I've been working on for 7 years, but um, it's created up here and it's sleight of hand move. So it's not like I have to create something totally from scratch. It's just using a coin. Remember earlier I said the coins are the most difficult. This is what I'm referring to. But some of the stuff, I have a closet full of stuff that failed. And people don't think about that. Wow, that is really cool. The red and blue deck. That's really cool with the big card. I have all sorts of cardboard. That's scrap. All sorts of glue to glue cardboard together. That's scrap. All sorts of fabric and rope and different things that this was a great idea, but for one reason or another, it just didn't work. So, the good thing is that sometimes I don't throw them away, and it irritates my wife. But I don't throw them away because sometimes later, an idea will hit me. Oh, wow, if I use this product instead, I think it might work. And sometimes it won't. Sometimes it still fails. So, I guess my most common and my most accurate answer would be, at least a month or two.
What was the most difficult trick you ever learned?
The most difficult trick you've ever learned?
Um, Probably the ring and rope trick. That took me a little while to learn. But my good friend David Waveson taught it to me, and I wanted to do it. And so I felt like I was letting him down. I, pretty goodness.
Um, can you show us that trick?
Could you show us?
Sure. I have it right here. I have to stand. I don't think that's going to freak anything out on camera.
Hmm.
All right. Usually this is with a person, and I let them pull the rope, and they check it out and make sure it's nice and solid. And then I say, well, I have something else for you to check out. And I hold the rope in my hand. It never leaves my hand. And my hand never leaves my arm. But I have here a ring. It is solid as well. You can hold it like steering wheel and tug on it. That's usually what I get them to do. And while they're tugging on it, I tie the ends together using something called a knot. There it is. So what we have here is a length of rope held together by a knot that encases a ring of steel. Watch closely if you don't mind. I usually get them to hold the ring, and of course it just falls right off. It's like magic. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, how'd you put it back on? Well, I use a technique called rubbing. You see, if you rub the ring on the rope, it creates a soft spot, and that allows the ring to penetrate right through. Now to get it off, you reach into the pocket and you find the magic scissors. You see how look they sharp. Uh-oh, doesn't matter. Very sharp, and this is where I tell the other person, here's the biggest illusion of the day. They should put this over their head, but yes, I'm an angel. But I like showing them more. So I have here two pieces of rope that are exactly the same. Two pieces. And, not exactly this, but if I put that piece I cut off back on, it'd be really close. That's okay, because I'm going to try and put it back together. Use a technique called blowing. Yep, makes two pieces of rope magically become one. Now watch, I'll do it again this time. Watch as just the ends go into my pocket. And it comes out, the magic scissors cuts it right too. And hocus pocus halitosis, the two become one. There you go, the mystery of the ring. So I like that.
Awesome. That was awesome. So, how long do you see yourself doing magic tricks?
How long do you see yourself doing magic tricks?
Oh, one of the things I've talked to David Herrera about, his father was stricken with arthritis, and his hands were. And this is a guy that makes a living doing it. And he and I talked one day, and he said, you're in the medical field. What do you think? And I said, I exercise my hands. And so I do these routines where Um, I exercise my fingers pretty regularly, and try to prevent that. So far, so good. So I guess until I'm physically unable to, I can imagine myself being in line somewhere and pulling a coin up the kid's ear. Hey, look at there. I've seen a gazillion guys do that, but the kids all like it. In fact, I've seen people line up their kids to walk up there with their ears sticking out toward you so you can pull a coin out of it. It's kind of fun. But whatever it takes, I don't have any plans to stop. Put it that way.
A question that I has on Twitter is does card tricks help you any when it comes to gambling?
Do card tricks help you when it comes to gambling?
Card techniques help me when it comes to gambling. But I've been kicked out of casinos. So this was in Baton Rouge. Me and I mentioned earlier Matthew Noel. Matthew and I went into this casino, and on the way in, there was a club, and he says, "Let's go in here. I want to pull off a few things." And you film me for my video. I said, "Sure, why not?" Real life situation. We go in. He pulls out a deck of cards. We start talking to people. Pulls out a deck of cards. And of course, it's about 3.5 seconds. And someone says, "You know any kind of magic trick stuff with that?" And he goes, "Yeah." So he does a couple of tricks, and I do a couple of tricks, and we're filming each other. And the guy that ran the bar got angry. Came over, "Don't tell me you can do this." And we, said, "Well, you're not going to believe this. We thought of it on our own." And he didn't like it. And so I turned to the people and I said, "Folks, have we asked you for money? Have we offended you?" And they said, "No, no, we're having a good time." And they were indulging. It was spending money. We were bringing them happiness. I thought he would have been really pleased about it, but he was not. So I think he called security, and we left the club, and we got to the casino, which is just right down the sidewalk. They stopped us and turned us around. You're not allowed to come in. So we left, and it's kind of funny because on the way out, the security guy comes and starts following us. Yeah, headquarters too. I got suspects in sight and this kind of thing, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is over, card tricks." So Matthew used to have to go to the restroom, and I said, "I'm going to go get a soft drink," and we split up, and the guy panicked. And it's, security, subjects are splitting up. This was, like, oh my gosh. So the next thing you know, 4, 5, 7 security guys come and want to buy my soft drink. I offered them one, they didn't want one. And they followed me all the way to my vehicle. We got in and we left, and we haven't been back. Crazy.
Sean asks, have you ever been to or plan on going to Arizona for a show? Or to perform?
What was that last part?
To perform a show.
Oh, have you ever gone to Arizona to perform a show?
I've been to Arizona many times. Yeah, and I've done shows there. It's been a long time since I've performed in Arizona, but I've been to Arizona many times.
Well, you have a fan.
Tucson and Phoenix. And I've been to Sedona.
Let David know that he has a fan from Arizona.
Oh, you have a fan from Arizona.
Oh, nice. The part, Gilbert? I'm just guessing.
She said, "Please come back."
They said, "Please come back."
Okay.
All right. Well, did your wife or daughter want to come say hi before we wrap it up?
Oh, I'm not sure where they are right now.
That's fine.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so we'll end this with one final question.
One final question.
Okay.
How does it feel to be the nurse for the best in the world?
Oh, how does it feel to be the best nurse in the world?
That's a question I've not been asked.
Really?
It's flattering to hear the question. Okay, very flattering. I've been lucky as far as nursing goes because the one thing I've always said when I worked in the hospital, the one thing I don't want is my patient to have to press the button. In other words, I want to get there to fulfill the needs before they press the buttons. So I've tried to do that, and I try to do that after. The other thing I like to do is put myself on that side of the bed. And what would I want to do? What would I do if this was my wife, my son, my daughter, me, my mom? And I think if you do that, then you're going to be okay. If you really have those things, and you just have to care. You just have to care. So, I like to do magic for patients. I'll go in a restaurant and do magic for people. It's fun. But the nursing, it's a special spot right here. So thank you for that.
All right. Well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, he really appreciates it.
Absolutely.
Tell them,
Hey, what's it like to
everybody
be that
enjoyed
game?
it. Everybody enjoyed
Yes,
it.
it will.
Everybody enjoyed it.
And thank you, Elliot,
Of course, man.
for
Hey, it was.
relating
Hey,
that.
it sounds like you got a cool channel, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right, y'all have a good night.
awesome.
And thank you for
You,
everything.
of course. What was that last part?
Oh, thank you for everything.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah,
really
no worries. You
appreciate
have
it.
a good night too, man.
All right, thank y'all.
Cool.
All right, bye.